And so you were saying that you use your body as a science project.
Yes, I do. And I have probably for the last 30 years. And I think it started when my children were young and I was tired and lethargic all the time. And I would go to the doctor and he would say, "What do you expect? You have small children. That's why you feel the way you do." But something deep inside me told me there was more than just being tired from having small children. And that's really when I started my journey trying to figure out what good health meant to me and to my body and to my family.
Hello and welcome to the I Love Me Lab show. My name is Gail Buck and I'm an NLP Master Life Coach, meditation instructor, and a seeker of happiness. And each week, we're going to bring you an inspiring person or message to help you discover additional ways of self-care, self-love, and becoming a healthier, happier you. So thanks for spending time with us today, and let's let the show begin. Welcome to the I Love Me Lab. I'm excited to be here today with Tammy Reeves. And Tammy, I've been following, actually, I've known Tammy for a little bit now, and I've been following her on social media. I love the food preparation that you do, the recipes that you share, the workouts that you're sharing now. And so I thought it would be so great to have you as a guest. And so I want to let you know that Tammy has her master's degree, and I can never pronounce it, kinesiology, right?
Yes.
Kinesiology. Well, I have you dive into why is that important in a moment. She's also a certified personal trainer, certified life coach. She's certified as a CrossFit coach and yoga instructor. And so this lady is strong and healthy and fit. And it seems to me that your whole life is geared towards that. So welcome, and thank you for being here today.
Well, I'm happy to be here. Thanks for letting me join your podcast.
Well, thank you. So let's start by talking about kinesiology. That is the study of the body and movement. Is that correct, or what?
It is. And when I went to college, I really wanted to go into physical therapy. And probably if I had it to do all over again, that's the route I would go. But I would have people say, that you won't be working with athletes if you go that PT route. You will be working with elderly people in nursing homes, and it's so different than what you think it would be. And now I just really disagree with all that. And I think that physical therapy is very important. But the next best thing to me was a degree in kinesiology. And I started out as a coach. I coached sports. And the reason I liked it a lot, but I did it because I kept hearing, you will never make money as a personal trainer. You will never make money in the fitness industry. So that's sort of what was told to me a lot and kind of what ran through my head a lot. And finally, I gave up the coaching as far as athletics and just went for it. So
Wow. And so that is actually the study of your body and movement.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
It is.
Okay. And so, it's as you're here and you're so beautiful and lovely in front of the camera, and I love your blouse. And what I really love is that your strong arms that I have seen over and over again on social media underneath, because we won't talk about age if you don't want to, but you're not 20 anymore or 30 anymore. You have the fitness level of somebody absolutely that's in their 20s, I believe, so I think it's really important to share that as we have more years behind us, we can stay strong and healthy.
Yes, and that really is my goal right now. And it's funny because I had shoulder surgery. I tore my rotator cuff in my shoulder, and I had surgery in July of 21. And so I would go through physical therapy, and all the people there would look at me and say, how do you do all those things you're doing? Because they had me doing wall walks and snatches and things that I did in my everyday life before surgery. And then I would go to the gym where I work out, which is full of 20 and 30-year olds, and it was totally different. I would go from feeling like I was really strong to, oh, will I ever get strong again? So it was just two different perspectives.
And so
But
how important is it, as we get older to keep these muscles strong for recouping and for staying healthy?
well, I think it is a lot more important than what a lot of women realize, and men too, probably. But there's so much, and I try to study. I've studied a lot about the different kinds of fats in our body, and we have good fats and fats. That's just a word that is probably overused. I mean, I'm fat. I have fat arms, or I mean, we use that word over and over. But there are different types of fat in our body, and one of the best way to fight off the fat that causes us a lot of problems, which can lead to cardiac issues, diabetes, lots of different diseases. The way we can fight that is through nutrition and through lifting weights and even cardio. So it just all fits together on maintaining a healthy lifestyle and maintaining the muscle mass that we need.
So, if you had to balance, like, what would be the percentage of cardio versus weights? And I hear a lot, especially as we get older, that the weightlifting is so important. And why is that?
Well, I I think that as we age, we still need some cardio, but weightlifting, weight bearing exercise is so important because, like I said, it helps our bodies, it helps to maintain our muscle mass, which helps to decrease the amount of fat that we have. But the other thing about it is our bones and our joints. And I was diagnosed in 2017 with osteopenia, and that is the precursor of osteoporosis. And it blew me away that I had that because I've always lifted or done some type of weight bearing exercise, but it's genetic. I mean, it runs rampantly in my family. And I always stop and think, instead of thinking, why do I have this? I'm very thankful that I do lift weights, because I think I would probably have osteoporosis at this time, and it would be very devastating. So,
Wow. And you talk about, I mean, there are some things that are genetic. We were speaking, before we started recording, about cholesterol, for example. And, neither one of us is a medical professional, but I would like to dive into the conversation about cholesterol if you're okay with that.
yes, I am. As probably when I was in my late 40s, my cholesterol started going up, and I would go in every year, and I was seeing a functional medicine, holistic type doctor, and she would always say, you're healthy, your heart is healthy, we just need to watch it. Well, she moved, and I had to find another doctor, and it was very frustrating because my doctor kept saying, you have to get on a statin. And if you won't get on a statin, you need to take red yeast rice, which is a natural statin. And I didn't want to do those things, because everything I read about it was about the statin, and even the red yeast rice is that it really does cause you to lose your muscle tone. And I didn't want that. And there are a lot of other side effects. And
I didn't realize that muscle. I, I should. I mean, I should be learning more about that because I also have very high cholesterol, and I resist the idea of statins. But I've read articles about it also being tied into, the high level of dementia in this country, right? So for me, it's. I guess some fear based on, it. Affecting my intellectual state, right? Because I prize my mind above everything else. And so that for me is probably what it keeps me most resistant. But muscles is another thing, right? And I think joint pain as well.
yes. And, I mean, maybe I'm getting off course a little bit, but I do definitely think there is a heart, brain, body connection, huge, and it can be with a lot of different medications that we take.
Mhm.
And so, anyway, I did refuse statins, and I ended up finding another doctor because this doctor got very upset with me. And I probably my goal became to be, the person. I'm the only person who knows how I really feel. And I can go to a doctor and I can explain it, we can't do without doctors, but doctors are really, they're there to help us find the medication to help us feel better. I feel like that's what their jobs are, and that's what they do. And I wanted to try to figure out how I could be healthy without medication. And a lot of that was from my family, from the genetics, things that I knew I would be facing someday if I didn't maintain my health.
So you were talking about the different types of fat, and then I wanted to dive into dieting as well, right? To kind of combat the different kinds of fat. And I think you wrote essential, subcutaneous, and visceral. Can you tell me what the difference is and which are the ones that we can actually get rid of if we work towards that?
Okay, well, the essential fats, I mean, those are the fats that are just right under the skin. And actually, the reason it's essential is it's there for our energy if we need it. I mean, we can use fat, and that's why people do keto diets, is so they can use the fat, they can burn that fat as their energy. And so that's what can happen. When we get the subcutaneous fats, that's under the skin too. And what that fat does is it's stored under the skin, and it's pretty harmless around our waist or different places. And some people go by color. You can also call these different colors. But the main kind of fat that we really want to avoid is the visceral fat. And that is the fat that ends up, and it's a mixture of brown and white fat. It ends up in our internal organs. And so that's what causes us to have a lot of health issues. It can cause high blood pressure, um,
So that's the
diabetes.
one when you see like fat wrapped around the heart or the different,
Yes. Yeah,
okay.
liver or, different internal organs. But one thing that I did, we talked about this briefly before we started, but when I was battling back and forth about my high cholesterol, I decided that what I needed to do is find a way to get some type of scan done. And I was told about a place. I live close to the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and there is a company called ViaScan. And what they do is they do scans. It's supposed to be a lot less radiation than an MRI. So I decided to go, and I wanted to get my heart scanned and my arteries because they could tell if I did have plaque. And I found out that I had no plaque in my arteries. So that let me know I don't need to be on a statin because I don't have heart problems. I just have high cholesterol because of genetics.
So is plaque the same as calcium? Do you think, or you're not familiar?
Uh, well, plaque fat can be the plaque. I think calcium can be, but plaque, a lot of times it's a fat buildup is what causes the plaque.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So, and I'm not a doctor, but I probably research more than a lot of my friends think I should. So, and
I think you
family.
should, yeah, or
Yeah,
maybe more than they do, right?
right. Yes. Once I got there for the scan, they told me that I could get my internal organs scanned as well. And so I did that. And I mean, they were shocked because they told me that my internal organs, there was so little fat around my organs that my internal organs appeared 30 to 40 years younger than they are.
Wow, very nice.
Yes. So
Very nice.
anyway, it was just a little bit of a relief to know that I'm not crazy for saying no to statin.
Yes,
So,
yes. Okay, so now what is the fat that like, is, muffin top? Like, right around the belly, that some of
okay,
us get?
that is usually the subcutaneous because it's right under the skin. Body fat percentage is one way to measure our amount of fat, and I know that for non-athletic women, 21 to 31% is pretty much a normal range of fat. Anything above that 31% is considered getting into the obese um, area. I don't know if you've ever noticed, but every year when we have to turn in information to our insurance, they want to know the circumference of our waist, mine and my husband's, and we have to measure. They tell us where to measure, and usually it's a doctor that has to do it and send that in.
Hmm.
And I realized that is because your waistline is one of the things that they look at to see if you are carrying too much fat, too much of the visceral fat, because it will store in your internal organs, but it can also start to move into just your gut.
Oh, interesting. So that becomes like a primary measurement to kinda get an idea of what else is going on inside.
Yes. And along with that is sometimes they'll have you measure your hips and then measure your waist, and you divide that number. And I don't even know exactly what the number is, but that's how they can tell if you're overweight, if you're obese, or whatever. And, it's not because of how you look. I think they're looking at, do you have that dangerous visceral fat that will lead to other issues?
Wow. So let's talk about, fad diets versus clean eating.
Okay.
And what do you mean by clean eating?
Well, I tell you, I've tried a lot of fad diets. And, when I really first started paying attention when my kids were younger, that was the time frame where it was you eat low fat. You don't eat fat at all. And so for years, that's what I did. And if something had written on the package, no fat or low fat, I bought it. And the whole thing is knowing what I know now, turning around that package and looking at what's in it, sugar is usually the top ingredient. And that's the thing that I think that sometimes we don't realize is processed foods in general are a big issue when it comes to the kind of fat that we don't want in our bodies. So anyway, but that, there's that diet, there's the keto. And I did keto diet for probably 2 years, and I did the intermittent fasting to go with it. I loved the way I felt with intermittent fasting because I just felt like I had a lot of clarity in my mind, but it just wasn't sustainable for me. I did it for a couple of years, and then it was like, I had something emotional happen. My mom got very ill, had a stroke. I couldn't do it. It's like mentally, I could not make myself wait that and now they call it a fasted window, which sounds a little bit better than intermittent fasting. But
Well, and it's also funny. So I've gone through extended periods of time with intermittent fasting. Not really eating anything until maybe noon or 1 o'clock, and not had any problem with it. But it's interesting how a life event or a change. So recently, I came to stay with my mom for an extended period of time. And my mother loves what you call in Mexico sobremesa. And sobremesa is that beautiful time when you're having a meal. And after the meal, you hang around talking. My mother lives for sobremesa. And so now it's not possible because the sobremesa consists of, another piece of cinnamon toast or a piece of cinnamon toast, and then this and then that while you're munching, while you're eating. So I need to get back into something because it's not doing much for my visceral weight. So I need to change it. But I will tell you, the sobremesas with my mother are absolutely priceless, so yeah. But something like that can throw you off your game. So how do you get back on your game again?
well, I think what I ended up doing, and I try to fast, maybe a 24-hour fast every now and then, every few months. And honestly, a lot of problems right now with my fasting is that I work out in the mornings, and even though I know I have enough energy to get through the workout, for some reason, I just feel like I start dragging before my workout is over. So I think what I did is I just changed what I did. And I ended up really, and it's when I went through and became a nutrition coach, I realized all the vitamins and all the nutrients that I had missed out on through eating keto because I didn't eat carbs. And I mean, I went for 3 years, I think, without a banana, and bananas are my favorite.
Love bananas. But aren't
But
they loaded with sugar? Aren't they loaded
yes,
with powdered
they
sugar?
are. And that's why I didn't eat them. And if you have tendencies toward diabetes, you can't really eat bananas every day, or you can, but you shouldn't. But I had just gotten away from eating any type of fruit, and I love fruit. But what I realize now is a lot of the fruit also contains a lot of fiber. And that is what our system needs, not to even mention all the nutrients that are found in that. And so, as a nutrition coach, the basis that I tried to teach people was the plate method. And are you familiar with the plate method?
I'm not, but I'm taking notes.
Okay. Well, the plate method is where you think of your plate as fists, different areas. So half of your plate, which would be 2 fists, should be vegetables. A fourth of your plate should be your protein, which is another fist. And then a fourth of your plate can be starches, which is a sweet potato, it can be rice, something like that. And then just a few tablespoons of a healthy fat. And healthy fat is so important because that It's what helps with our brain function. And I love fats and healthy fats, and I tend to go overboard a little bit, but which is easy to do if, with certain things that you like. But anyway, that's really how I try to eat. And
So can we dig into, because yes, I've done the keto as well for an extended period of time, and after a while, initially it felt really good, and for me it was easy because I actually love meat and eggs and all the proteins. So that part was
yeah,
easy for me. But at some juncture it didn't feel good anymore. I don't know why, there was a part of me that felt like it was hard on my organs or something. It just felt like I was doing something that was, my intuition told me this is not good. And so I've learned to listen to my intuition. And so
right.
going back to including definitely vegetables, and I take it easy on the fruits, but definitely the vegetables.
Mhm.
So why is it, you're a certified nutrition coach, why is it so important for your body to get that balance of the vegetables and some fiber from the fruits and things like that? Why is that so important?
Well, it's important because a lot of times, and this has been me as well, and I probably still use too many supplements, but at one time I thought, well, I can get everything I need from this supplement. And I mean, we spend millions a year, Americans do, on supplements. And supplements are made to supplement what we don't eat. But it seems like a lot of times we use those as a magic pill where we think, oh, I'll just take this and I don't
Get
have to,
everything. Mhm.
yeah, I don't have to eat that spinach. But I mean, this is something else I discovered. Even herbs, basil, thyme, rosemary, they're loaded with nutrition. And when we learn how to cook using those seasonings, the food tastes so good. And for the longest time, I felt like I had to use some sort of sauce on my food to give it flavor. But when I started researching the whole cooking thing, I realized that food tastes so good when you use the right herbs and spices. So,
What about
and
salt? How do you feel about salt?
um, we we use Himalayan salt. I mean, that's the only kind of salt that we have, and it's because it has a lot less sodium. But just as an example, my sister was feeling very sluggish, went and had blood work done, and her sodium levels were low. And of course, she was using just the Himalayan salt too, because that's what I told her to use. So her doctor had her start using sea salt
Well, and
because
isn't there
she,
also, isn't like the iodine, the salt with iodine is important for our body too?
yes,
Because that's a nutrient that's hard to get other places, isn't it?
it is.
So do you supplement for the iodine, or you just,
No, no, I don't. I just use the Himalayan. I mean, that's really that pink salt is all we use.
yes, yeah. And I know that, or I believe that, you test your blood and you're measuring things all the time to see how your body is responding to
Mhm.
what you're eating or not eating and what you're doing to work out and things like that.
Right.
Yes. And your family responds to the same type of regimen? Or are they a little more grab the cookie, grab the cake, or do it
Well,
in hiding?
it probably the sad part is that my children, when they were younger, we didn't have sugar in the house, and now they all love sugar, and I feel like I didn't handle that right. And um, if I had it to do all over again, it would be a little different. But they we didn't eat a lot of sugar, and so I think there was a little, I mean, their friends would laugh when they would come spend the night because what do you mean you don't have
Ice
that?
cream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, but
Yeah.
I'm very fortunate because my husband is he is a big driver of the health in the family. And I talk to women all the time who say, well, I want to eat healthy, but my husband won't eat healthy stuff. He wants the chicken fried steak. He wants mashed potatoes and gravy. And my husband growing up was obese as a child. And he I think at one point in time when he was almost in high school, maybe junior high, I didn't know him then, but he said that someone made the comment that, you would really be cute if you weren't fat. And
Oh,
and he said he never thought of himself as fat, but he really has to fight um, probably visceral fat. And but he eats so healthy, and really he's sort of the one that got me started on this health journey to learn it for myself instead of always having to ask him questions. And so, but we have a lot of fun now because we come up with all these recipes and try different things. And
I know, and
so
if anybody who is curious about her recipes, so you're Tammy D. Reeves 31 on Facebook,
yes,
yes?
yes,
And she sometimes posts some of these delicious recipes on there, as well as some of her workouts, which I absolutely love. I haven't tried the workouts, to be honest with you. I watch them, I think, "Oh, that doesn't look so hard. I'm gonna try that later," and I forget it. But I
yeah.
have tried a couple of the recipes, and they've been absolutely yummy.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Now you have also, is called Holistic with a Q by Tammy, HOLISTIQBY Tammy.com. That's your
Yes.
website. And so what kind of programs or what are you doing and launching on your website?
Well, I have actually started a membership. I always had people reaching out to me saying, "Hey, I need a healthy recipe for this," or what is an ingredient I could use instead of using white flour for this? And so, and then I would always hear people say, I don't mind really cooking healthy, but what I hate is, having to make my grocery list. I don't ever have what I need. And so I came up with a membership and I started it with the meal plans and a grocery list. And so those go out once a week to my members. And the results have been phenomenal. And
Really?
yes, there's a husband and wife. The husband is the one who jumped on board. She still likes to have cheat meals, and she said that she didn't realize how many times she walked into a grocery store and grabbed a Snickers bar until she started
Yeah.
with the meal plans. And she said it just really, I had no idea how many Snickers I was eating. So, anyway, but he has lost, the last time I talked to him, he had lost, I think, 22 pounds. And his doctor
Wow.
was so excited because he's had some health issues. And when he lost that weight, that's all he did is just change his nutrition. And several people have been the same way. And then there are several people that also work out with me that I personally train or do online training with that are members. And I think what they love the most is just getting the grocery list, and they don't have to really think about it. And
Yeah.
there are those that say, "I just can't cook. Um, I can't read a recipe." And I don't think that people are not, I mean, I used to feel the same way. And I feel like now what helps me is if I go through and read the recipe and, look at all the details and then break it down. Okay, these are the ingredients I need first. And that has helped me. And that's sort of advice I give others. And
So in your meal plan, is it the plate method? So it has the recommendation is the protein and the, 2 fists of vegetables and the 1 fist, it was 1 fist of, yeah, fruit or fiber. Yeah.
yes, yes. Most of the recipes are. If there is a recipe that doesn't have enough vegetables, I'll say we add rainbow chard, or whatever it is. We add uh, sauteed Brussels sprouts to this when we have it. And another thing that we use a lot is cauliflower rice. We buy the frozen cauliflower, um, and that's already riced. And the thing that you just need to do is look at the ingredients, and that should be the only ingredient.
So for people that are busy or that just see, I love cooking and I love coming up with different things, and I do follow a recipe. In fact, oh my gosh, I've been cooking since I was just so small. I can't even remember. But I think it kind of falls in for everybody, having the list that's already made, right? And having the plan that's already made so you don't have to think about it. So you go into the store with a mission, or you send somebody, your significant other, whoever, to the store with this is what we're getting. I think would just simplify it. And then you put it together and it's absolutely delicious.
Yes, I know. It's fun. It really is.
So these are the rest. Your husband is Mike? Is that his
Yes.
name? Okay. So you and Mike, or Mike is helping you come up with some of these recipes?
Yes, and we do. My sister helps me. We do a lot of research, online for healthy recipes, and I had no idea how many healthy recipes there really are out there. And then you find the recipes that there might be just one ingredient that I'm thinking, I don't necessarily want to use that, but I will let them know this is what the recipe calls for. This is what I use instead.
Mm-hmm.
So,
How much fun. So if somebody wanted to find out more information about your membership site, where could they go? Because I know your website will be up soon, in a week or so.
yes.
By the time we record this, it'll be up in a week or so. Um, if it isn't up yet, where can they find your information on your membership site?
Probably the best way would be through my email address.
Okay, which we'll provide for everybody in the show notes.
Yes. And then from that, I'll give details. And the exciting part about my membership is that and that's where I came up with the holistic by Tammy, because to me, it's so much more than just good nutrition. Um, we need a balance, and we need breath work. I mean, we live in a society where we breathe to hear instead of belly breathing, and so um, that's what will be included in the membership, is a lot about breath work, mobility, yoga, and then as
Oh,
an extra on that, I can also do virtual personal training.
coaching and things. Very nice. Very nice. Now, before I don't want to get away from there's so much to talk about food and what we put in our bodies. And so there are a number of foods, and I know that we're not all the same, but that can cause inflammation. Are there some culprits that many of us, especially in, the United States culture, that many of us have as part of our regular diet that could be causing inflammation? And what are the symptoms of the inflammation?
Well, probably my opinion is one of the biggest causes, it's processed foods. It's eating everything out of a box, and from cereal to crackers, and we are so misled because the label says one thing and we think, oh, this is healthy. But if it comes from the ground, it is healthy. But and I've just realized I think one of the best anti-inflammatories are our fruits and vegetables. And with the fruits, fruits get a bad rap because of the amount of sugar. Berries, blackberries, strawberries, blueberries, raspberries, those don't have a lot of sugar and they are loaded with fiber. And I don't know if you remember this in the days of keto, is you would subtract the fiber and the sugar, and that's how you came out with how much sugar you were actually getting. And so if you do that with the fruits, so many of them, even apples have a lot of sugar. And the thing that a lot of people don't realize is apples are loaded with fiber, but that fiber is in the peel. It's not in the apple itself. So those are good anti-inflammatories. And
Yeah,
then,
I am a fruit grower's daughter, and so we grew up, in fact, I'm at the farm right now with apples and cherries and peaches and plums, and so we were very spoiled, going out there and just picking it off the tree and eating it. And I know my dad passed away a couple years ago, but dad made sure he had at least one piece of fruit every single day because that's what he would say. It's the fiber. Your body needs that fiber.
yes. And, fiber, we can eat some type of bar that has been through it's not a plant, it was made in a plant. And that fiber it may have 9 grams of fiber, but that fiber is so different than natural fiber.
Which
So,
brings it to like a lot of people that are vegan and they're not eating the meats. And
mhm.
vegan is fine. But when you're going to the grocery store and you're buying that processed vegan burger, for example, what do they call it? It's like pretend chicken or pretend beef or whatever, which is, I don't even know I think soy might be part of it, but
Mhm.
all the other stuff that's mixed up in there.
Right. Yeah. And, I actually know a family that he had a widowmaker heart attack.
Mm.
And they didn't think he was going to make it. And he was young at the time, but he made it and he chose to go with the vegan diet. And, I don't agree with everything about being a vegan. And it works for them, but that's where I think that as people we have to listen to our intuition. We have to figure out how we feel. And one thing that I really talk to my members about is we need to learn to journal.
I was writing that down. I knew you were going to say that. And if you weren't, I was going to ask you about it.
Yes. And it can be as simple as taking notes in your phone, 30 minutes to an hour after you eat, thinking, I have brain fog or my stomach hurts, or it could be, I feel so good. And that's one way you can tell what is working for you and what isn't. And that's the most difficult part is, we're not cookie cutters that can all eat the same things. And I mean, some people have allergies to fruits. Some people have esophagus issues that all the acid from fruits can, make them feel worse. So we have to really pay attention to how we feel and try to get to the root of the problem ourselves. Or that's just my opinion, because I don't want to be on a lot of medications. And I know a lot of people, that's their go-to is, well, I'm going to the doctor and to find a pill to take for this, whatever
Right.
this is.
Or having a surgical procedure to remove the extra fat or
Yes.
the extra stomach or the extra whatever. And it's scary. Those are some pretty scary choices that we make. So,
Yes, it really is.
Tammy, I have enjoyed this so much. Now, this is the I Love Me Lab podcast. And so, what I always ask my guests is if you could leave the listeners with one little nugget of wisdom about self love and taking care of themselves, what would that be?
One nugget
Yeah.
that we haven't already talked about.
Or if we have, one little piece.
It's okay. I've got one that we haven't talked about. And that is, it just goes along with all of this gratitude. Just, if you're not as healthy as you want to be, just be grateful that there are ways that you can turn it around and get healthy. If you are healthy and good health doesn't mean that you're thin, in my opinion, but good health means that you have, you're going to live a long life, that, good things are going to come to you. And that's, there's always something that we can be grateful for. And so I think we have to apply that whether we are healthy, whether we're not healthy, or anywhere in between those two.
No, that's beautiful. Thank you. I had a little reminder of that this morning. I was getting out of the shower, I'd washed my hair and I was drying my hair, and I noticed on my scalp this small, really dark, like almost a circle that had never been there before. And immediately I think, oh my God, do I need to see a dermatologist? Is this like, a precancer or something? It just showed up. And I was so nervous. And I started thinking about that. And I came down and took out my little makeup mirror. And it turned out I used purple shampoo because my hair is white. It was a little dot of purple shampoo that and I just scratched it off. But it was one of those moments about be grateful, be grateful, be grateful. That I'm as healthy as I am right at this minute, and that little dot wasn't anything. So, I
Right.
totally believe in being grateful for exactly where you are, right, and for the wonderful things that are to come.
Absolutely. So, well, thank you so much for allowing me to come on here and be your
Thank
guest.
you. And yeah, thank you. And thank you all for listening. Again, we'll have Tammy's information, her website, her email if you want to reach out to her, social media. And if you want to find more information about her membership site, it sounds quite yummy. And I believe it'll make your life easier and you'll feel a lot healthier. So thank you so much. And thank you, Tammy. And we'll see you next week. Thanks so much for listening to this conversation. If you enjoyed it and want more information on our guests and resources, please visit ilovemelab.com. And please, if you enjoyed this episode, remember to subscribe and share with a friend. Hey, there's more great episodes to come. So until next time.